call of the Hogs can be heard all the way to San Francisco.
You're listening to Pod at the Palace with Curtis Wilkerson on Inside Arkansas.
And welcome into the Pod at the Palace post-game live reaction show presented by Bet Saracen, Arkansas's #1 sports betting app. I'm Curtis Wilkerson, joined by Andrew Ellis. And we're here to talk about Arkansas's 82-58 win over Fresno State in North Little Rock here on Saturday. Kind of what you see over there. You know what I mean? Like, you had to overcome a little bit of that venue voodoo at Simmons Bank Arena. It's just, I don't know. It's always just a little bit weird in there. It never really fails, but at least it only lasted a half for the most part. No flow to the game in the first half, kind of sluggish, but the lid came off after the break. And, the Hogs were 3 of 12 from 3 in the first half, and they hit like 5 of their first 6 in the second half. Blew things open. I think they were up by over 30 at one point, wound up winning by 24. Kind of a ho-hum day at the office, really, from my viewpoint at least. But Andrew, what did you make of what we saw here as Arkansas gets the win to improve to 7-2 on the season and 2-0 in a very important week here?
Yeah, it sounds like I feel pretty similarly to you. Arkansas was around a 19 and a half, 20-point favorite, depending on where you looked. And they end up winning by 24. So in a nutshell, 30,000-foot view, you could say, hey, they were projected to win by X. They won by Y, so that's good. And big picture, that's about, how I'll go ahead and feel. But I hold this team to a pretty high standard, and I felt like the first half especially was just not good basketball from either side. It was a little bit of a sluggish start. You could kind of tell they were in – the first game, by the way, that Fresno State's played outside of the state of California. So you kind of expected that from them. Arkansas, it's kind of an unfamiliar building for most of these guys. But like you said, they came out in the second half, hit 5 of their 5 threes right off the bat. I feel like Arkansas played about 9 minutes worth of inspired basketball, and that 9-minute stretch is about all they needed to win this game. Like, there was never a point in this game where I was like, hey, Arkansas might lose, man. It took Fresno State 5 minutes to score, which, by the way, we'll talk about it, I'm sure, in depth, but that was my favorite part of this game is Arkansas's activity defensively. Felt like they really challenged every pass, which I was really a huge fan of. I don't know how many steals they ended up with, but had to be their season high, I would imagine. I thought this was the most active defensive performance Arkansas's had. Really bad offense at times, really bad shot making at times. There was a time in the first half where I was like, good Lord, like someone's just got to get the lid off this basket. But they eventually did that. I think it says something about this team that I'm pretty underwhelmed with their performance, and you are too. And you still covered the spread pretty easily, although it got hairy there at the end. And it's going to be a win that is not going to help you in the metrics by any stretch, but it's certainly not going to hurt you, which at this stage, we need as many of those as we can get.
Yeah, that's kind of my only thing with it. You won by 24, cool. Covered the spread, cool. Should have beat them by 40 or 50, but you didn't. It's whatever. The only thing about it is, like, the metrics have a pretty clear bias towards if you beat the hell out of the bad teams on your schedule, you're going to get more of a bump for that than actually beating good teams in close games. That's just the way that it is. It's not how I operate, but look at Kentucky, over at KenPom right now, and look at Arkansas. So it would have been nice if they would have kept that lead. I think they were up by, let's see. Yeah, as many as 32, but it's whatever, man. They got the job done here. Yeah, the first half, it took Arkansas, I feel like, a little bit to settle into the game because Fresno State, to their credit, part of their game plan was, all right, we are just going to pack the paint. We're eliminating the dribble drive. We're eliminating these guys crashing the boards. And if they're going to beat us from 3, then they're going to beat us from 3. And Arkansas did not in the first half, to your point. A lot of wide open threes. DJ missed 4 wide open catch and shoot rhythm threes in a row to start the game. Carter missed 1, TB missed 1, Acuff missed 1. And it was just like, man, something's got to fall. And I think it was Malik Thomas hit the first 2 threes for the longest in the first half. And they were 3 of 12 at halftime. Well, and then the lid came off in the second half, or maybe you just needed to shoot on the other one. Arkansas 8 of 18 from 3 in the second half there to build up a big lead. So, in the first half, I actually thought the ball movement was pretty good. And sometimes they get caught a little bit stagnant. And it's like, all right, I'm going to try to take my man off the dribble and get middle. And if I can't, I'll just pass it to somebody else who's standing there and let him try. The movement and everything was good. They were creating quality looks. They just weren't making them. It was driving me nuts, but much better in the second half. You're right. Defensively, I thought they looked really good. To answer your question, they had 11 steals in this game and forced 17 turnovers. I know Fresno State stinks, but that's a good number because if you go look, at Arkansas's metrics, they're in the green. They're considered good in pretty much every category out there. but steals and forcing turnovers, they're not for whatever reason, because they're so athletic, and you figured they could be better on that front, and they were in this game. So it was good to see.
Yeah, Arkansas, for most of this year, I know there's been some stretches, maybe a half here and there. That one half against Winthrop, I really didn't like. But for most of this year, Arkansas's first shot defense has been very good, to your point. Like a field goal percentage and shooting percentages, teams don't really light them up much. I mean, there's been some struggles beyond the three-point line, and a lot of those do come off of offensive rebounds historically against Arkansas. But that, like you said, a lot of metrics point to Arkansas being pretty solid defensively in some areas. I love seeing them force some havoc, from Fresno State in this game. You know what I saw a lot of from Fresno State's guards? A lot of, you pick up your dribble and you're going to make a pass, and then they end up pump faking it and end up kind of realizing, ooh, that pass is going to get picked off if I throw it. Malik Thomas, I think he had 2 or 3 steals. Trevin had 4 steals at one point. I don't know if he picked up some late, but they were very active in the passing lane, and I think that's a huge thing. How many times did Fresno State, did the shot clock hit single digits in the first half? It felt like every single possession. They had a couple violations, but they were constantly, they were not even getting into their set and starting their offensive possession until 13, 14 seconds on the shot clock. I felt like Arkansas really did make them work and did a lot of good things. Now, Fresno State, of course, not that great of a basketball team, and they're a white guy shooter. I got to be honest with you. You always, every mid-major team has a white guy shooter that you're like, hey, you got to guard this guy. I felt like that guy got some good looks and just didn't convert on him, man. And
he did.
Ultimately, you could kind of tell, like, Arkansas. That's why I never felt like there was never a single second of this game where I was like, is Arkansas in trouble? Because I just knew Fresno wasn't going to score a ton, and that was a lot of what Arkansas did. And that's 2 weeks in a row, or 2 games in a row, where Arkansas's first half defense just kind of wins them the game, but also gives them that breathing room where you go a stretch without making a ton of threes. That's not ideal, but you saw Arkansas be able to overcome that because of their defense. The Michigan State game, Arkansas played horrible, could not get a shot to go on offense, but they were in that game because of their defense. And I hope that's a trend that these guys notice. And will Arkansas be a great defensive team? No, but I think that has to give you a lot of confidence as your offense comes and goes and your shot making. We've seen this team kind of be streaky but can get hot at times. It's okay to be that way if you're playing defense at a high level. Kind of gives you that margin for error, which I think for a team like this that's still kind of growing into their confidence, I think that's huge if they can continue to kind of have that a defensive identity, which in a matchup like this is a little bit easier. But I do love that. I love seeing that for sure.
Me too. Darius Acuff, good at basketball still. Who knew? Really, I don't want to say quiet because he started burning it up in the second half, but considering his final stat line, it was like a sleepy, very, very good performance. 18 points in this game, 7 of 12 from the field. So the efficiency was up. He was 6 of 18 against Louisville the other day. Knocked down 3 threes, grabbed 5 rebounds, 8 assists, 1 turnover. That's a nice day at the office for Darius Acuff. And he was the one guy who, I don't think Arkansas was settling for threes in the first half because they were taking what the defense was giving them in the half court. And if you've got wide open looks and the right guy's taking them, you got to shoot those. They just weren't falling. But he was the guy that I felt like was doing a pretty good job of, okay, I'm going to force the issue in transition, try to get to the rim. And if I can turn the corner on a ball screen, I'm taking this thing into the paint. I'm going to make something happen. And he did that, and he started opening up from 3 in the second half. But a hell of a performance from Acuff there. And, Malik Thomas, 12 points, but, 3 of 7 from 3. It was good to see him knock some down. He was in foul trouble. He only played 7 minutes in the first half. But the guys I wanted to ask you about here, Carter Knox and DJ Wagner. By the way, my bold prediction going into this game was that both of those guys, Andrew, would score in double figures. And I called it bold because they've only done it once this season. It was against Jackson State. They did in this game. But I'm not going to lie. At halftime, I was worried about both of them. In fact,
I was definitely
somebody tweeted at me. It's like, we might have to have a conversation about Carter. And I was like, agreed, we will. But both of those guys, much, much better in the second half. Thank goodness, man. That's so high up there on the list of things we needed to see.
Yeah, I appreciated that from Carter. What we've seen from him sometimes is he'll start games really well and then kind of taper off after that. He's even done that a couple times this year. I like that his spurt came in the second half where he finally started to get it going a little bit, which tells me, who knows how this goes. Sometimes we're using our imaginations. that he was at half and kind of had a moment where he's like, listen, I got to lock in a little bit. Saw him do that. And Joe Klein did, you and I were texting a little bit and laughing at this. Joe Klein had a comment where he's like, hey, I know Carter's struggling, but I do like his activity. I do like that he's still involved, still making plays on both ends of the floor. And defensively, even though he sometimes doesn't hold on to the ball, he does have his hands in passing lanes. He is active. He's not just one of those guys that when his shot's not falling, completely disappears off the face of the earth, which he has done before in his career. So I do like that he's still active and engaged. We're still underwhelmed, kind of waiting for him to take that next step. But I think for this particular team, the good thing is it's not like we're dying for Carter Knox to create a ton of offense. He can just continue to be the energy guy. And I think for Carter, and Cal's touched on this a few times, seeing Billy and seeing the way he plays has to just help Carter. And by the way, Cal has to make decisions between those two guys. A lot of times of like, hey, I'm going to play one or the other. And so Billy continuing to be as infectious with his energy as he is, I think is huge. And for DJ, I think it's as simple as like, he's going to have games where he doesn't shoot it well, which in the first half, I think he was 1 of 6 in the first half there. He's going to have games where maybe his shot's not falling, but there's a ton of opportunities. Playing next to these two scoring guards, Acuff in particular, just really has come into his own. There are opportunities there for DJ, and I think you're going to see it in specific matchups. Like DJ's not going to be every single game leading you in scoring, but I do think he's a smart enough guy. He's starting to get a better understanding of how to play with these guys and where to be in certain spots to kind of pick and choose when he wants to be assertive. And I think throughout the course of the season, you're going to continue to see that chemistry on the other end or on the offensive end really come together with all these guys.
Yeah, shout out to DJ. And you're right. He missed his first 4 threes, and then we thought he hit his 5th, but his toe was on the line. So it didn't count. But then he did hit his 5th, and I thought he hit his second 3 early in the second half, but his toe was on the line. So he's doing that thing. Whatever. It was just good to see him knock down some shots. But yeah, I'm with you. It looks like this has been a thing over the course of the last couple weeks here. And for me, with DJ, I think he's increasingly looked a little bit more comfortable and starting to figure out, kind of like what you're saying there, okay, this is how I have to play with these guys, and this is what my role is going to look like depending on who's on the floor. And I can, if Acuff's out of there and I got the ball in my hands, then I can be more assertive. And he's starting to understand that a little bit. His energy has been great every single game. His defense has been great. He was chasing that shooter around the entire game. But all that stuff has been there. Really, the last little stretch here, he's just been missing the shots that he gets. And that's what's keeping him from having better, scoring outputs or whatever. And then he played like 19 minutes and 17 minutes or something. So you're kind of wondering, is he falling out of favor? What's going on? Well, sometimes you need to score. And other guys are going to come in there and do that for you. Well, he made some shots in this game, and one guy gets 2 fouls in Malik Thomas, and you look up at the end of the day, and there's DJ with 30 minutes. So that was good to see. Really happy for Carter. In the first half, man, I was just like, brother, what are we doing out here? I was getting drove on by the dude with the muffin top, and I'm like, okay, this can't happen. Couldn't secure a rebound or a loose ball. He's turning it over in the paint, rushing his shots. I didn't know what was going on with him, but knocked down a couple threes there early. He opened the bank on a Saturday, which makes sense, I guess. It's Simmons Bank Arena, but really good to see, man, from both of those guys. Another thing I want to ask you about, actually, I want to save this for the last thing before we get into the chats, but Malik Ewan, by the way, I text you guys like, what did he do to piss Cal off? He got 2 fouls in 3 minutes in the first half. I didn't even realize that happened. I just saw him get that offensive rebound and put back. And the next thing I know, he's out of the game and Cal's going off on him on the bench. I was like, whoa, what happened here? So we didn't get to see as much of him. He did some good things in the second half. Pringle, I'm throwing it out there right now. I'm not diagnosing him because I'm not the team trainer. I think he's hurt. I think Nick Pringle's injured right now. And if you notice, every time he comes out of the game, he's got that hot pack, like that back brace on. I don't know if he's got some spasms or some tightness or what's going on, but he is moving slow out there, and he is not as explosive as he has been. Happy they wound up getting 7 rebounds in this game, but the dude is moving like a turtle. So hopefully this week off, he can get healed up.
Yeah, I guess like with Malik Ewan playing better, and Trevin has, really come into his own lately, although he wasn't good in this game. So it's not a huge storyline, but yeah, this might have been the worst collective game from Arkansas's front court, which is saying a lot because there was a point in this year where we were really worried about it. I do feel like night in, night out, you're going to see Trevin be, I'm knocking on wood as I say this. I do think Trevin is going to at least give you a consistent scoring presence, and he's fairly consistent as a rebounder. And then really between those other guys, Pringle and Ewan, you don't need both of them to be good every time. I do think that's important for people to understand. Sure, you would love it, but you really just need kind of one or the other, depending on the matchup, depending on the night. And as you mentioned with Pringle possibly nursing an injury, I'm always of the belief of like this time of year, man, just rest that guy. I know Arkansas doesn't have the most depth in their front court. I don't know if they really want to go the Elmer route just yet. But I think this is a huge time for someone like Malik Ewan. In tonight's game, like you mentioned, Ewan gets 2 fouls in 3 minutes. And by the way, he did some good things. Had a block early on, had a putback, and it's like, oh, heck yeah. And then immediately gets that foul. And so that's what kind of sucks. I don't think that's necessarily something to worry about big picture. Of course, foul trouble is always something you got to worry about with big men. But I do think as long as one of those guys can just have a pulse every game, Trevin's going to be pretty consistent. I thought that was a big thing in this game, by the way, that Trevin in the first half wasn't very good. Arkansas is a different team when Trevin Brazil is playing at a high level. He struggled to knock down shots today as well, and you could see there was some frustration with him offensively. And so I guess that's what I'm talking myself into the notion of Arkansas. This is about as bad of a game as Arkansas, like in terms of just things that could go one way or the other. A lot didn't go Arkansas's way, and they still score 82 and cover the spread. I'm talking myself into that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm with you on that one there. You mentioned Trevin being frustrated offensively. So I think he was frustrated because he was making a very concerted effort to crash the glass, and Fresno State was putting bodies on him, man. Like they were not letting Arkansas get in there and crash the offensive boards. Arkansas actually got out rebounded in this game, but a lot of it's because Fresno State, they missed a ton of shots in there too. But he got frustrated. He got tied up with that kid who, and here's the thing, it didn't look super malicious from the Fresno State player, but Trevin's back was turned. And so the only thing he knows is what he feels. And it's like he got some contact to the back of the head and everything like that. So he got pissed. They got into it. He gave him the extra shove. They got double text there. Personally, I could have done without the extra shove there. Like, you're playing Fresno State. There's no need to get that upset with them. Whatever. That was one thing. The deal with Billy, though, and that's what I wanted to bring up here before we move on to the chat. I'm sorry, you just can't do that. And he's got to know better than that. He's not a freshman. This is his second year here. You're up by 30. And I get it. The dude is, he's all up on you or whatever. And, he's probably talking to you, whatever that might be. You cannot hit a guy. You bloody his nose. You cannot hit a guy in the face like that so blatantly. Wait until the play starts and sack tap him. Or set a hard screen, or get your elbow there when everybody's in the lane. But right there in front of God and everybody to hit him with the Hey Arnold out there, the Helga, move it football head. Like, what are we doing? And it was a deserved ejection. Some people were telling me that it was soft. I'm sorry, man. That's just something that you can't have. And Arkansas is kind of making it a habit of this kind of stuff happening 1 or 2 times a game. I just hope that it doesn't cost them in a closer one here moving forward.
Yeah, for sure. And I do think the context of, when we're talking about whether it's a deserved ejection or not, the context of it being a damn near 30-point deficit at that point, because I get it. It's a very hostile, tense, physical game. And, I get it. You're in the middle of a play and tensions run high. That context, I'm not saying you should ever elbow someone in the face and be able to get away with it, but it's like, if it were like a close battle where you're fighting, jockeying for position, that would be one thing. Doing it in a 30-point game, I feel like put a bad taste in my mouth. And there's a very fine line, obviously, between you want your team to play with some type of edge. You don't want them to be bullied out there. You would rather them be the aggressor than be the team that's getting pushed around out there. So you certainly want your team to play with a little bit of that chip on your shoulder and a little bit of that we're in a dogfight, we're in a war mentality. So you kind of want to harness that energy. But yeah, you can be coming out, obviously after the whistle, like you have to be smart there. You have to know what you're going to be able to get away with, what you're not. And like I said, if it's one thing if it's 12-7 early against Tennessee and they're kind of roughing you up a little bit and you want to say, hey, you know what? We're going to make a statement right here and we're going to kind of give them an extra little shove. Not saying I condone that necessarily, but it's like that at least makes sense to me in this particular game. What are you trying? Like, what is it you're trying to prove? You're trying to like get into a physical battle with Fresno State. Like, you should be the team that people are frustrated and elbowing you in the face, frankly, because they're mad, they're playing you and they're taking it personally against you. Like, you should be that team. And so with Billy, with Trevin, 2 guys who, when they're at their best, are playing with that edge. I like the mentality, but there's got to be a little bit better practice there and a little bit smarter. And like you said, cannot be doing that in games that get decided by 1 possession, 2 points, 3 points. You don't want to start playing that game and make that a habit.
Yeah, for sure. That's risky business to deal with. But at the end of the day, Arkansas gets the win here, 82-58. And it was kind of the troika, as John Rothstein likes to say, or the trifecta of things that were working against them. If you're just looking for a reason for this game to get weird or get close, it's in Simmons Bank Arena. And listen, the environment was really good. I thought it was really good again. It always is. Like, there's always a big crowd there. It's loud in that building. The atmosphere is always good. The games just get weird for whatever reason. We know that. Like, it's like old lore at this point. But so you're able to overcome that, and you had the will there be a letdown after the Louisville game, which is such an emotional and physically draining type of win. Like, do you come out and sleepwalk? And then you had the potential trap game. And I know it's a week out, but like the next one on the schedule is kind of that grudge match, Sweet 16 revenge game against Texas Tech. And they were able to kind of avoid all that and get a decent little win here. So for that, I am thankful, Andrew.
100%. And I mean, listen, we talk about it every year around this time. Like, it's such a hard thing mentally to stay locked in game to game. One, because you're just a 19-year-old kid, and everybody can think back to when you were 19. It's really hard to stay focused for long stretches at a time. But during the holiday season, a lot of these guys go home at certain points, to avoid all that. And then again, coming off a big win, if there's a letdown spot, this is like it. I think this next week where there's no game is going to be huge for Arkansas. Like, you don't play again for 7 days, and then you have a big game. That's a lot of time to kind of mentally reset, mentally recharge, maybe even physically reset for someone like Pringle. Knox, I know he dealt his injuries, but it's kind of a moment for you to take a step back, really look back at what you've done in these, because you've learned a lot in these last 3 or 4 weeks. You're able to kind of take that, exhale a little bit, and then get ready for a big matchup, another big matchup coming right after that, and during Christmas in that same time period. So you got to continue to be focused. But all of that to say that by the time we get into January and you get into SEC play, where it really is just go, go, go all the time. You get one little bye week here. You're playing 2 games a week. You want to be as close to 100% as a team. And you also want to kind of be prepared for that. I feel like with this team, all the battles they faced and kind of navigating these waters, I do feel like by the time we get to January, I don't know how good Arkansas will be playing, but they're going to be prepared for the test that they're facing.
Yeah, for sure. I would agree with that for sure. I've got some metrics data that I want to share. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and do it. I don't know if we have something start on this or not. I saw some of it in the chat, but I am fascinated just by how these type of games impact things, like what it does for your efficiency, what it does for your metrics, because I'm trying to, frankly, and I'm not just using the Kentucky thing as an example because, we pick on Kentucky and John Calipari or whatever, but it does blow my mind to see them in the situation they're in and just so valued by a lot of these metrics out there. And I know like KenPom, for example, it's a predictive metric. So it's not just your body of work. Like it's kind of based on what you've done and your efficiency, what it's predicting you to do, how it's predicting you to finish. But to see them in the top 20 and to see Arkansas where they're at, I'm just wondering like, okay, what is this all about? And so I've zeroed in on, you just have to beat the hell out of these bad teams. But for what it's worth, Arkansas after this game, and there's still plenty to be played here the rest of the day on Saturday, so it'll change, but bumped up 3 spots at KenPom. So went from 31 to 28. Offensive efficiency in this one dipped 5 spots. They were at 39 this morning. They're at 44 now. And defensive efficiency jumped from 32nd up to 23rd. So big jump on the defensive end. And that'll shift a little bit throughout the rest of the day. But I always get a kick out of looking at that because KenPom's the one that like updates in real time,
Yeah. In a nutshell, it's a perfect microcosm of why some of these analytics sites at this stage of the year, I do think that's an important qualifier, are flawed, where we just watched Arkansas play a pretty underwhelming game. Like a game that like clearly the Duke game, or even, not even the Duke game, the Louisville game, obviously we felt way better about it, but it's like, and I know they got their fair bump for that, but it's like night and day compared to how different Arkansas looked in these 2 games. But metrics wise, it wasn't that different of a bump that they got for this game compared to the Louisville game. And yeah, the thing with Kentucky, and I know we're harping on them a little bit, you lose by 500 points. And that's the thing that we thought we knew about these markets is, they skew it based on blowouts. So wouldn't losing by 500 to Gonzaga, don't you think that would knock them? Maybe not. So maybe that gives you some confidence. Arkansas could afford to lose by like 27 to Houston, and it might not even affect them.
That's the rumor. That's what I'm hearing. So we'll see how that winds up working out. One more thing, actually, that I wanted to get into, and then we'll get into the chat. Shout out to Isaiah Sely, man. He finally gets some burn. He's set, a couple big games here, and I'm not entirely surprised that he didn't play against Duke or Louisville, but he gets 10 minutes. It's like anytime he gets any tick at all, he just is all over the place. And he gets 8 points and 3 rebounds in this game, and he barely played. So I like that he comes in there and makes the most of his opportunities. You can tell, and some of this because he just hasn't been able to play that much in games, but he is still sped up compared to the other guys out there. And you can see the gears turning in his mind with everything that's going on, and it's got to slow down for him a little bit. But the dude is talented. And he's probably not going to play against Texas Tech, but when they get Queens and JMU or whoever, I hope that Arkansas handles their business to the point where he can really, really get some run in there, because he's very talented, man. And he's confident out there. I do think when you go through the full gambit of an 18-game SEC schedule, it would be nice to have another guy who you can just feel comfortable putting in there. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. Even if you're giving him 5 to 8 minutes on every other game or something, but have him comfortable enough to do that would be important. So it was nice after not seeing him for a few games to have him get out there and, I don't know, make his presence felt a little bit. He tried to dunk on that kid, the 7-footer, and I appreciated that.
Yeah, he's not scared. That's the thing
He's
that you
not
can
scared,
clearly tell about him. And, not that he should be scared of Fresno State, frankly. He should be at this point in his career, like, feeling pretty good about that. But yeah, he comes into these games and he's not tentative, which I really appreciate. And like you said, gets sped up. Like, you can tell he's a freshman. And sometimes you can kind of see the wheels turning of him trying to figure things out. But he's not one of those freshmen that you put in and he's kind of like scared to do anything, scared to shoot. In fact, sometimes he takes shots that I'm like, hey, let's maybe relax a little bit. But I would much rather you be that, because we can hone that in, and we can, especially with his athleticism. And that's the thing that jumps when he's on the floor, whether it's against an actual opponent or, mid-major, he looks like a plus athlete. And he's kind of one of those guys that if you're not careful on your closeout, he's gonna drive and throw one down on you. He's had a couple opportunities to get some extended run. And it's one thing to come into a game that's 113-49 and to play 3.5 minutes there. He's played like not real minutes. Arkansas would be up by 20, but there's like 7 minutes left in the game. And the other players he's playing with on the court are also, he's playing with Malik Thomas. He's playing with Nick Pringle. He's playing with Billy Richmond. That's a very different context than coming into a blowout where you're playing next to 3 walk-ons and Jaden Carr-Letwa. I think that's what I love the most about it, is that they've been able to get him kind of like fake real minutes, but real simulated action that he can learn and grow from. And I hope we get a few more opportunities against Queens, some of these other teams, get him some extended run, because you're right. It might not be every game, but you're going to need him for, at some point, he's going to have to play 2 rotations in an SEC game.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. And that reminds me, that attempt, and of course he got fouled on it, our dunk counter for the Razorbacks. We've been forgetting that from time to time here. Arkansas was 6-7 on their dunks today.
Shout out to Malik Thomas, committed to the bit. He wanted to make a 6-7 joke, so he's like, hey, we're 6 of 6 on dunks. Let me just
Exactly. Yeah, just I don't know, man. Look, let's save those for the fast breaks. Let yourself gather a little bit, my man. Yeah, Thomas, he made some plays today where I was like, why? I know Cal said that too, but
the alley-oop in transition.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Stinker.
And then he gets a steal, like right after that. And he did another boneheaded play. And then the next possession, he hits a transition 3. I'm like, okay, he is kind of that guy. So that's fine. But shout out to Darius Acuff for the in-game dunk. He's got like 3 now. And after his first one, we were like, is this going to be the last time we see him dunk in a game? No, it's not. So good on him, man. I want to see him take off on somebody in traffic, but we'll get there when we get there. Hey, folks, are you tired of juggling insurance companies just to find the right type of coverage? At OZK Insurance and Rogers, they make insurance simple again. As a 100% independent agency, they shop the entire marketplace to deliver the best combination of cost and coverage, saving you both time and money. Whether it's home, auto, boat, motorcycle, life, or commercial insurance, their friendly team has access to a wide range of flexible options designed just for you. They serve Northwest and Central Arkansas, so let OZK Insurance be the trusted advisor you never knew you needed. They've got over 600 5-star Google reviews, so start today with a free online quote at ozkinsurance.com or call 479-715-4200. It's 479-715-4200. It's OZK Insurance, protection made simple. Okay, let's hop over to this chat and see what everybody's got going on. I haven't really been looking at it too hard. We got intern Gigi in the background taking care of us. Producer John, although I don't know if he has anything to produce from this game because I don't know if we've got press conference materials or not, but he's here, so we appreciate him. Let's see what we got here. A few super chats. We appreciate folks hanging out with us on a Saturday. It's kind of a weird time for a game to be played, and it's also, and I get it, we're all Razorback fans here, but big time college football and stuff like that going on too. So thank you guys for hanging out with us here. Scooby Doobies says, Curtis, why is Leak playing way less now? You can tell when he gets in a game late, he presses trying to catch up to get his, needs in early to get in the flow. It was because he got himself in foul trouble today was the reason why that happened. He picked up 2 fouls and he had played like 6 minutes and 30 seconds in the first half. So that's what that was for him. And in the second half, he played like, I can click on it because I've got the stats right here. He played, we're at 14 minutes in the second half. So, and that's, that's about right for him. So that's what that was. I did feel like against Louisville, they were a little late to pull the trigger on getting him in there. To me, and some of it's your starters were playing really well. So you wanted to keep that going. But I'm of the thought that if you hit that first media timeout, like that under 16 timeout, I don't really care what's going on. Like I'm getting Leak in the game at that point. And that's just something they didn't do the last couple games here. But yeah, sometimes I feel like maybe he's pressing a little bit in there, but that's also just the nature of the type of player he is. He's so aggressive and he's just got that trigger on him of, dude, if I've got any airspace whatsoever, I'm letting it fly. But I was happy with it because Arkansas's offense was really struggling there early in the game. He comes in right away. He comes up with a loose ball, kicks it ahead in transition for a layup, and then his first touch in the half court, he splashes a 3. And I'm like, all right, great. There we go. Wish he would have played more. Definitely because I said this is going to be a bust-out game for him, but as soon as he had to sit half of the first half with fouls, I knew it wasn't going to happen.
Well, and that's the risk you run because we all know, like conceptually, like Malik Thomas is one of the 5 best players in this team, and he's not in the starting lineup for a very specific reason. Oh, he's going to give you the spark plug off the bench, and we're going to bring him in after the certain point. I'm with you that the first media timeout, by the way, was at like 14:43 or something like that. So it's like at that point, it's like, yeah, just go right to him. But this is the risk you run in doing that is that you wait 5 or 6 minutes to bring him in, and then you bring him in, he gets 2 quick fouls. Now you've basically played a first half of basketball, and one of the best, most dynamic players on your team has had no impact on the game basically because of the way it played out. That's the risk you run doing this thing. But for the most part, I think there are going to be more examples of the bringing him off the bench thing working like it almost was on track to today than it will when he gets in foul trouble. But yeah, definitely need when the team's forcing you to shoot threes, it's pretty helpful to have Malik Thomas in there to make them pay.
That it is indeed. WooMF Pig says, boys, I've got a hot date tonight. Congratulations. Hogs got me hyped. Just hoping these beers don't absolutely murder my vertical later.
Murder your vertical. I'm wondering, does that mean he's drinking beers that are going to, if he's a 36-inch leaper, is he now a 29-inch leaper after 4 beers? Is that what he means by murder my vertical, or does he mean he won't be able to stand?
Yeah, I thought he was talking about whiskey wiener, or maybe that's what you meant.
Oh.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
You might need to you should have specified before you left because you left a lot up to interpretation here. So
performing under pressure after about 10 or 12 of them, that's
crazy.
Stadium pulse through the roof right there.
Yeah, I mean, good luck to you, and let us know how it goes on Monday on Inside Arkansas Live. Hairless Hog, there it is. We appreciate you, says Billy with the people's elbow. Yeah, I mean,
you need that Ron Artest elbow, bro.
I mean, I did laugh. I mean, I thought it was funny until I saw that. I guess he actually hurt the kid. You don't want to see that, but just the replay in the moment, it was like, why? But yeah, you can't do that, man. Got to be careful. I wonder what he said to get popped in the face. Like, there's no, because I know he was up on him and everything, but he must have said something greasy for Billy to hit him like that. Good grief, man.
Yeah, maybe, but I don't know. I think also Billy is prepared to do something like that. It could have very easily been like, your mom's fat or something like that, Yeah,
exactly. Who knows? I'm sure Cal will address that with the media. We just haven't seen anything just yet. Arkansas says, what an entire day of hoops. Feels like there are 9 to 10 teams that can make a serious run for a natty, and the Hogs are one of them. Yeah. Shout out to Duke going on the road, beating Michigan State in the Breslin Center. That was a hell of a win for them.
I was also impressed with Mississippi State, by the way, in that game. Michigan State in that game as well.
Yeah, shoot, man. Yeah, they looked really good there. Both of those teams are tough. I don't know how much attention you paid to college basketball today, Andrew, but did you see what Iowa State did?
Yeah. Oh, Purdue.
Wow. Went on the road to Mackey and put it on them boys.
How does Purdue, obviously their exhibition loss to Kentucky doesn't factor in, but I feel like Purdue gets beat as the number one team in the country more than anyone in the world. How many times? I mean, we beat Purdue when they were number one. Kentucky beat them when they were number one. I feel like over the last 5 years, I've seen Purdue lose a game with a one next to their name more than anyone in the country.
Yeah.
91-58.
Or 81-58. But yeah, I mean, they beat the hell out of them. I mean,
10 points different. But I mean, still, yeah, you beat them by 20. Good Lord.
I know we've got Illinois and Tennessee tonight. That'll be a fun one to watch. Just trying to see anything. Oh yeah, Louisville bounced back and beat up on Indiana pretty good on a neutral floor. That's good for Arkansas, right? If you think about the metrics and everything like that. Anything else notable? Not yet, but like there's a lot of good games. Auburn and Arizona play tonight. That's a 9 p.m. game, so that'll be fun. Ole Miss and St. John's. That's going to be really interesting. Of course, Illinois and Tennessee. So yeah, man, a lot of good hoops out there.
Memphis is in serious danger of beating Baylor at home right now. They're up 3 going into the final media timeout. Wow. Not that will affect Arkansas's metrics because that game doesn't count, but in the context of is Arkansas good or not, I do always think back to that Memphis exhibition.
Yeah, no kidding. That would be good for them. I know they've been struggling over there. Hey, Josh Byers, good to see you. Says this team is way underestimated in rankings and metrics, won comfortably with lackluster execution. Glad to see Sely get involved more. Well, if they won comfortably with better execution and efficiency, then the metrics wouldn't be underestimating them. I mean, it's just a computer algorithm. This is on Arkansas. You can't. I think it's silly. Like I take way more out of what a team actually is when you go play a road game at Michigan State and lose by a possession, or you test yourself against Duke on a neutral, or you beat a Louisville, whatever, than I do. Well, they beat Winthrop and Sanford. They just didn't beat them by enough. Like I think that's kind of silly, but that's the way that this is. And they did that to themselves by playing with their food. So they got to bounce back from that. And again, like even today, they had it up over 30 and then Billy gets ejected and you immediately give up a 12-0 run. And is it the end of the world? No. But had you kept it at that margin, would you be 2-3 spots higher right now than you are? Yeah, you probably would.
Well, and I hope what I'm about to say makes sense because Arkansas's played 9 games now. So that is 9 that are 9 pieces of evaluation for us to go off of, or for us, I mean, for the computers to go off of. Obviously, we as human beings with brains look at those 9 games and we see the 2 or 3 that really matter. But in the KenPom data, they're not all weighted the same. They actually are all like they all count toward as one game. And obviously, if you win by 4 against Sanford, it doesn't weight you the same as if you beat Duke by 4, but like those games are still one game each. And so it's like, even though that Sanford game where you lose or you win by 4, that doesn't really mean anything. Beating Winthrop by 1 doesn't really mean anything. It's like that affects your resume as much as the Duke game does. Just like today's game, you go up 3 spots for a pretty average performance, but when you have played 9 games, one game does matter a good bit. And so there is something to be said about how it will average out over the course of the season. But yeah, you look back, you want to know why Arkansas's metrics suck, just look at those games.
Yep.
You see why.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, they dropped, I can't remember which one of them it was, but they dropped as many spots for winning, I think it was the Winthrop game, as they rose for beating Louisville. Mm-hmm. So,
which, by the way, Winthrop lost again today. So,
damn it.
That's going to be one that just that's a stain on your, and thankfully they won, but that's one that's just going to hurt you for as long as your resume is only 9, 10, 11 games. That's tough.
Yeah, brutal. Okay, let's get into some other chats here. Fishman says, does Billy have to sit out the next game? No.
It's not like targeting, thankfully.
Yeah, exactly. We've got Kazaran says, first 10 minutes of the game, and in the second half, the 10-minute mark to about the 2-minute mark, we played so damn bad, though. Should have easily hung 100 on these boys. Agreed. Yeah, I agree. It was one thing to take a minute to settle in. You got to see how Fresno State's going to play you and then adjust. And there wasn't a lot of shot making there. Thankfully, they were locked in defensively, but the pretty much the entire first half, honestly, was kind of a rough watch. They figured it out afterwards, but yeah, I'm pretty disappointed with with letting Fresno State, I think they cut it. Would they cut it to like 16 or something? There was no need for that, and it was when Arkansas was just kind of playing the bleed the clock game, and they were getting a little casual defensively. And next thing you know, it's a 12-0 run, and it's at the end of the world. No, but I do wish they would have avoided it. Oh well. Okay, we were talking about this before we got on here. Kingsley says, I wonder what all that chirping was between Acuff and Carter at the end. Well, that's as much emotion as I've seen out of Darius Acuff literally all season. Yeah, he was yelling at Carter about something, but then if you watch and the camera pans to Carter's just laughing at him. He was almost, I don't know if he's like joking with him or messing with him or whatever, but he was laughing. He had a big old smile on his face, and the guys around him were laughing too. So I don't know if they got like an inside joke or something. It touched a nerve, but I don't really think there's much to it there personally.
Reminds me of when Adrian Beltre was with the Rangers, and people used to they would always be messing with him by like rubbing his head, doing whatever, and he would always react very angrily to the point where like people that watch the Rangers were like, is Beltre angry at his teammates? It's like, it's sometimes guys just do weird stuff and you just kind of have to accept it.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm definitely not worried about Acuff. If I see a smile on Carter's face with the way he's been playing, good. Like I'm happy that you're still in good spirits, man. So good on them. Student section, we talked about this a little bit, but said Ewan only 3 minutes in the first half. Yeah, he got 2 fouls, and then he sat and watched. Poor Nick Pringle, man. The dude could barely move. And like we really harped on Ewan for like lack of effort plays and look like he's loafing and stuff out there. If you really watch Nick Pringle today, it would be hard for him to escape some of those very same allegations. But I'm like I said, I'm pretty convinced that it could just be tightness or whatever. A lot of times you come off, and if your back's tight, you'll get your hamstrings like massaged out with that gun that they put that hot pack on you to keep you loose. Maybe it was that, but he's really not moving very well at the moment here.
And speaking of the foul thing with Ewan, coaches, there are some coaches that I think even Muss may have done this sometimes where it wasn't a guarantee that when that guy picks up the second foul, they'd be out for the whole first half. I remember some times where Muss would put, whether it was like Anthony Black in with 2 fouls at the 3:50 mark of the first half. Some coaches have different stances on that of how strict they are. But for the most part, I'd say over 80% of college head coaches, any player on their team gets 2 fouls in the first half, it's not even a debate at that point of like, do I put him back in? And we can argue about, hey, is that a good decision? Should you maybe push the envelope a little bit more, especially when it's someone like Ewan who just kind of needs to get going? And plus, it's like, is it a bad thing if he fouls out of this game? Who cares? But I think that sometimes it really is just that simple. You get the second foul, we're not even having a conversation. We'll see you in the second half.
Yep, that's exactly right. Seth says mentally weak performance from TB and Billy, in my opinion, probably talking about the extracurriculars there. Yeah, I mean, you don't need to do that. And I really don't care either, because I see it in the chat and I understand where some of you guys are coming from of, well, he was asking for it, and he baited him, and that guy was talking to him. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? I mean, it's you got bigger fish to fry than Fresno State, man. Like, you can't cost yourself a game or get yourself in trouble or hurt the team because you got some mid-major, bum chirping at you. It's not worth it. So
I also don't want to feed into because this team, by the way, is very aware of their opponent and what their opponent can do against them. And in this game, you could kind of tell there was a moment where they realized Fresno State couldn't do anything, and they felt that. So I don't want to feed into that, but there should be something to the idea of like, hey, when you're playing a mid-major, you should not be getting into like personal scuffles, like I think that should be almost like you should feel some shame about that. It should have to be pretty over the top. And Trevin, man, he has a unique knack for looking like a heel when he gets into these little skirmishes. Every time he does it, I kind of feel like he's in the wrong. You remember when he was in Maui just acting like a jerk, and you're just like,
kick that dude for no reason. Yeah, I'll never forget. He did it right in front of me. I'm like, why, bro?
In Michigan State, same thing. Like, and he's not that way every game. It's like the most random thing. He'll just have a random like 3-minute stretch where he's just the biggest jerk in the world, and then he goes back to normal after. It's weird.
Yeah, it's very strange behavior. Jamel Jones says, place Sely over Knox. I'm not sure how to take where Knox is mentally, but each game is looking more and more very average. Well, did you watch the second half of the game? Is my question.
Like, there was a second half of that game.
Yeah. Now the first half was cheeks. I mean, there's no other way to put it there. But yeah, man, I thought in the second half he looked really good and played hard. Some shots started falling. I was encouraged by that. But in fairness to you, Jamel, I text John and Andrew at halftime and said, I might give Sely some burn over Knox if he's not going to figure it out. So I 100% understand where you're coming from. And probably part of that too is Sely comes in there and like you said, Andrew, he's not scared and he's aggressive and he's assertive. And it just feels like he's making a tangible, positive impact on things that are going on out there. I think there's room for both. And I'd like to see Sely get in there a little bit. It's so tough, man, because sometimes I wish he would just go up to Cal and be like, yo, I'm a peacock. You got to let me fly and put him in there and just see what he can do in one of these big games. But that does come with risk. Cal's right about that, because if he comes in there and he's overwhelmed, all of a sudden Texas Tech puts an 8-0 run on you and you're screwed. Now there's a chance he could come in there and really, muck things up for them, which would be cool. But it's kind of a tough spot and a balancing act that they're playing right now. And we'll see how it kind of pans out for Sely. But yeah, I thought Knox was good in the second half.
I can definitely get behind the giving Sely more minutes aspect of this.
Yeah.
I do just hope people realize like how big of a deal that would be if they were to like demote Carter in the rotation. And I'm not even saying they defensively shouldn't do it. Like, I just like, I hope y'all understand the benefit of the doubt. Cause it's, if you do all of a sudden start giving Carter Knox DNP coaches decisions, it's kind of impossible to go back to playing him with any regularity, or at least it's just a fractured relationship at that point, which like, listen, if a guy sucks, he sucks. But I just like, if saying, oh, hey, just bench the guy is always the solution. I mean, last year we were hearing people saying like, just stop playing Nelly Davis, just play someone else. It's like, it's kind of hard to make that decision, know?
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. I remember that last year. It was even after Boogie went down and people were like, bench Nelly. You can't play Nelly. I'm like, who are you going to put in there? Melo Sanchez? Like there's nobody there. But they got the luxury this year of having a little bit more depth. But yeah, I'm with you. I don't think they're anywhere near that just yet. There's Cats. I'm glad that you're with us. Actually, this must be somewhat therapeutic for you after whatever it is you've been going through. Have you seen, Andrew, some of the headlines and some of the stuff coming from Kentucky after that game?
I can't believe some of the headlines I'm reading and some of the names associated to some of the headlines I'm reading are baffling to me, but I love it all, man.
We are thankful to have a competent basketball team. We are.
And make no mistake, we are. Like, we really are. And we don't take that lightly, even when we're like annoyed with them. Even when we're like, hey, that was a lackluster 24-point win. Like, at no point are we like, this basketball team sucks. Like, we love that we have this basketball team. We love that the standard is so high that we can be annoyed over 24-point wins over Fresno State.
Yes. I do think better days are ahead for Kentucky, but at this point, all that talk about getting their 9th championship or whatever, I mean, that's time of death type of stuff here. They're just not that team. So they got a lot to figure out. You want to talk about, mental toughness and a lack thereof and, chemistry problems. And that whole thing is a absolute mess over there, man. Crazy stuff.
But as we know, though, man, and the reason I'm going to wait, because I'm with you in terms of the expectation. Like, Kentucky is like a completely different level of team. But man, when you get into that tournament, no matter how or what your record is, like, you can limp into the tournament. But sometimes you get in that tournament, you just get the right matchup, get the right setup, you get the right route. All of a sudden it's like, you know what? That team could make an Elite Eight. So I'm going to hold off until I see their path if and when they make the tournament. But I think this team has a lower ceiling than anybody thought, frankly.
They'll be able to host a few games in the NIT. So I'm sure that
that'll be nice.
Over there.
Where's the NIT championship at this year? Do we know?
Is it in the Garden again or no?
Maybe. Well, last year I kept saying Garden, and then we later found out it wasn't.
Yeah.
But maybe I really don't know. And I hope I don't have to find out, frankly.
Yes. Ross asked, when Acuff potentially handed dude the ball with 10 seconds left, does that count as a turnover? No. It didn't.
Who did he hand the ball to?
I don't know. I guess I missed that, but I went and looked, and he was not charged a turnover with 10 seconds left in the game.
So he just finished with 8 assists, 1 turnover.
Yeah. With
the 1 turnover being a weird push off on an inbound.
Yeah, the offensive foul. That's right. That's right. Oh yeah, there it is. Not a burner. We agree. Says Sely is a stat patter. He is, man.
Low key.
He is. He's a garbage minutes merchant. I
His
love
per 36 numbers off the charts.
it. Oh man. Josh Jones says, "Why did Billy throw that elbow? So childish. Not his best moment." Oh, there we go from Phil. What's up, Phil? Says Ewan is noticeably better than Pringle right now. Pringle has that limp that Adu had last year a bit right now. Yeah, there's no way that I can be convinced that Nick Pringle is 100% healthy. Even if he was, Ewan is a better basketball player, and now he's just finally playing like it. So,
yeah. I like the intensity that Ewan's been playing with lately, and just like, I wouldn't say physical, because I don't know if he's an overly even his best version is not an overly physical guy, but there's just a lot more intent to what he's doing. But in case Nick Pringle's mother is watching this broadcast, I just want to say we think Nick Pringle clearly is not 100% healthy. When he's healthy, he's a lot better and can really, there's still a very clear, regardless of where he's at in the hierarchy, like Arkansas is going to need Nick Pringle in several games down the stretch. And I just hope he, when those moments comes, is 100% healthy and, feeling good. That's all I really care about. So I'm definitely not going to lose sleep over it, but I just want to clarify in case Nick Pringle's mother's watching and thinks we're being hard on him.
Since you brought up Adu. But no, for sure. I had Pringle was in my what to watch today. It would just be nice for Arkansas to have both of its centers playing well at the same time. Because they didn't have that last year, and a lot of it was because of injury, but it was always either Z or Jonas, and very rarely ever both. But what was so enticing about this front court was how Ewan and Pringle complement each other with their strengths. So hopefully we get back to a point where both of those guys can ball out a little bit. And we will. I bet he looks a lot better after kind of a week off, but go ahead.
Yeah. Cal did the whole bit the other day about how he showed the team footage of FSU Ewan and all that, and they kind of gave him a hard time and all that. I wonder if we're going to look back and be like, that was the literal moment that Malik Ewan just kind of figured it out.
Maybe.
I really think it's maybe possible.
Yeah. Maybe. Oh, man. I hope so, at least. Kazran says if UK loses to Indiana and St. John's, we may end up with a lot of new mystery fans for the rest of the year, low key. I saw a bunch of folks. They're doing one or two things right now. They're either doing the, damn, we miss Coach Cal, or they're doing the, even though Mark Pope sucks, it was still the right time for a parting of ways with Coach Cal. But like they're never going to be able to keep Coach Cal's name out of their mouth. So
anytime, no matter what, anytime you're having an argument and you start setting arbitrary last 38 games or, last 17 years or whatever, or last 4 years, you start putting arbitrary cutoffs on something, you've lost your argument. And that's what that one guy was doing in Kentucky. He was like, well, Cal, from 2021 to 2024, here's what Cal did. And here's what Mark Pope is doing in a 39 game sample size. It's like, anytime you start doing weird stuff like that, you've lost already. The argument's over.
Yeah. Yep. Tamara says, didn't look good in Billy the way that he did that. Fresno player really exaggerated it, but they don't make it right. Was he not bleeding?
I thought I saw some blood, but I don't know. I don't know. He was doing something crazy.
The trainer was like holding a towel up over his nose and having him elevate his head and stuff. I think he busted his nose. So I don't know. Kingsley says you can take the Billy Goat out of Memphis, but you can't take the Memphis out of the Billy Goat. That's what it is.
Headband Billy Goat. Right. I like that.
Oh man, headband Bill is awesome. I like that. I think it's a look that should stay.
I agree.
He wears it well.
Everyone get your vote in the chat. Should the headband stay for Mr. Billy Goat, which the entire state of Arkansas calls him, apparently.
Yes. Okay, and this was getting on my nerves. Student section pod's exactly right. It took the announcers forever to understand how the shot clock worked. Oh, it gets down to 5 seconds and then it's up to 40. Relax, brother. It was just going down to the tenths of a second thing. Like they had such a hard time with that.
I would say 7 of 10. If you go around the country to like every college venue and some high school venues, I'd say 7 of 10 do the tenths of a second thing once it gets to, sometimes it's like 9 seconds. Once it gets under 10, under 5 or whatever, like, yeah, it's pretty standard. They
had the one play at the beginning of the game where there was an air ball, but the shot clock was accidentally reset, and then the buzzer went off anyway, and they were shook for the rest of the game.
By the way,
recover from that.
So if anyone was watching and wants an explanation, I thought about this a lot. They should have the shot, like they should have had Fresno State should have had a shot clock violation, but somehow the clock got stuck on 4 or whatever. They let it play. Arkansas ends up having a run out, and in the middle of that run out, the buzzer went off for some reason. What should have happened is a shot clock violation, but I'm glad it wasn't because it led to Arkansas getting points, which I'm cool with.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, that was the moment they got put in a pretzel.
Yeah, they were done after that. Ryan says, what do we have to do to get Carter engaged early? Every time he's had a good game this season, he's made plays early. We will need Carter when conference play gets here. I 1000% agree with the back part of that. I don't know. It's interesting. You can usually tell based on Carter's energy coming out of the gates, like what type of game he's going to have. But he went away from that against Louisville because he was flying around on the boards and making plays defensively. And he had 5 points in the first few minutes in that game. And then it was nothing the rest of the night. And it kind of shut him down from there. But usually you're right. When he is, you can tell by the first media timeout. It's like, all right, Carter's locked in today. We're good to go. But if he's not, and he's, kicking the ball all over the place and stepping out of bounds and getting beat on back cuts and the shit that he does that drives you crazy, then that there's no coming back from that. So it was nice. I would say, because guys, he was really bad in the first half, like awful. He should have come out of the game. He bounced back and he played really well in the second half. I'll take it. But regardless, whether it's game to game or half to half, play to play, they need so much more consistency out of him. And it can't be predicated on whether or not he's getting shots and if those shots are falling. He's got to bring it on the glass and defensively, regardless of what that looks like. That's what DJ has done, and he's starting to figure it out.
To further that point, the 2 shots that Carter made to start right off the bat, he hits 2 threes. Neither of those shots were, hey, let's run a set and get Carter a look over here. It was just, hey, we pass the ball around, we get out and run. Oh, you're gonna have a look from 3. Go ahead and take it and make it. Curtis, if I told you, hey, Curtis Wilkerson, we're gonna next week on next Saturday at 9 p.m. we are gonna give you a shot. You have to make an elbow jumper from the left side, an elbow jumper from the right side. You got to make both, and you get $100,000. What would you spend the next week doing?
Repping, boy.
Repping those shots.
Them up, man.
I got to be ready for that elbow jumper here, and then I got to hit the next one right after that. I just think every single game, Carter should be able to look at, hey, this is the defense. This is what we're going to run. This is how they're going to respond defensively. If the ball goes here, it'll eventually, I can get a shot right here. Every game, he should go into every matchup knowing, hey, I'm going to be able to get this wing 3 right here, this corner 3. Maybe it is an elbow. Maybe it's a backdoor cup. It's like there should just be an understanding. And I want Carter to ask how we get him going. I want him to have a next level where he's going into all these games thinking, all right, I got to be ready for this look here. These are the looks that are going to be available to me. I got to be ready to take them and make them. That's when he will start to take that next step. Because once you get to the NBA, that's what Carter's entire life is going to be. Is just taking 3-and-D shots in the flow of the offense. I really want to see that mental side of him because I think that's really what it is. Physically, he can make every shot. There's no doubt about it, but he's got to be ready to just know when those opportunities are going to be there and take advantage of them.
And he might need to continue to have a little bit of volume out there from 3 because he can knock those down because I don't know if there's a book out on him right now, like with some tendencies or something on scouting report, but he's not getting anything done in the paint. And that's crazy because I mean, like John Calipari calls him a car crash for a reason because he's just so good at, his ability to get to the rim and draw a bunch of contact and finish through it and everything. He cannot get a shot attempt off in the paint. He can't do it. It is either a turnover or they're slapping down on him and knocking it loose, or he's getting a shot blocked. He's not explosive off of 2 feet right now and elevating on those. Something's just not right there. And I don't know exactly what it is, but he's got to get that figured out. And it's in transition. It's when he's, driving it and getting middle on guys. It's not an issue of being able to do it. He's getting in there, but it's just poor decisions or ineffective in the paint right now. And that's just not something I ever would imagine from Carter. That's where he's really got to make some improvements there. I don't know what the issue is. I don't know what's going on, but for whatever reason, it just looks really uncomfortable. And he's a little bit too upright, a little bit boxy with his moves in there. I don't know. So hopefully he continues to figure it out. And, if for now that means he hits 3 threes a game, I'll take it. Let's see. Got a new member. Chuck.
Yeah, Chuck.
Yeah, we appreciate that. We like that a lot. We've also got Robert Hurst in here with the super chat says, I'm glad they sped up in the second half. Thanks y'all for your coverage of Razorbacks soon to be SEC play.
I guess I wonder if it's soon to be SEC play, or if he was like Razorbacks soon to be SEC champions.
We're gonna say champions.
Champions.
Yeah, we're gonna go with that.
You like that? To his point, though, there was a point where I think I heard the announcer say Arkansas had scored 6 more points than they had scored in the second half than they had in the first half, and there was like 5:48 left in the game or something like that. Or it was like their pace was just double.
Yeah, nice to see. That was nice to see. All right. Well, we've got an hour, and we've made it through most of our chats here. So, any final thoughts you have on this doozy of a basketball game that we just watched?
No, man, this is just not one of those games where we can make all these like, oh, man, we learned X, Y, and Z, and moving forward, we now have a whole thing. This is just one of those games you got to get through. And you struggle. You don't want to say that going in, even though sometimes we do. But these are the type of games that you just get through. You get some guys some minutes, you get some guys some confidence. You do all the song and dances. It's like a dress rehearsal. I like this next week that we're going to have for this team to kind of spend some time together, not play, reset. And I look forward to watching them another big battle, another big, test for this team next week. And I love that they're going to get some time. Finals, by the way, that's my final thought, actually, Curtis. All the Razorback men's basketball players and baseball players, if you're watching, let's attack these finals on Monday with relentless focus, enthusiasm, and let's have championship level focus for these finals. Winning doesn't start in March. You got to be a winner all years, all months of the year. And so, seriously, I don't have any final thoughts other than thank you for hanging out with us on a Saturday and skipping out on Alabama getting waxed by Georgia to hang out with us and talk some basketball. We appreciate it.
Yeah, exactly. We will have an episode of the Pod the Palace next week to break down Arkansas's team GPA post-final exams. But no, echo all that. Appreciate everybody for hanging out with us on this Saturday. Enjoy the rest of what's a really good sports day. College football, great college basketball games out there. We'll have the report card out first thing tomorrow morning, and then we'll be able to get a little bit creative here over the course of the next several days because we have a break between games. So looking forward to that, but we are going to get out of here for now. So for Andrew Ellis, it's been Curtis Wilkerson with Inside Arkansas and the Pot the Palace. You guys enjoy the rest of your night, and we'll see you when we see you.